Bonjour, French 1 students. So this is your lesson video for lesson 1A in your textbook. This is going to cover pages 12 through 17. What I'd like you to do is have your video on your Chromebook and have your textbook in front of you. So you might need to be sitting at a table or something. And that you're going to follow along in your textbook as I go over this. I've just taken little snippets of pictures so that you can know where we are and follow along. Okay, but you should be looking at your textbook yourself. So on page 12, we have Unité 1, Invitation au français, faisons connaissance. Leçon 1, bonjour. À la rentrée, ben, tu es français? C'est salut, ça va? Leçon 2, famille et copains. À copain ou copine? Ben, une coïncidence, c'est les photos d'Isabelle. So this unit is broken into two lessons. Lesson 1 and Lesson 2. Okay, lesson 1 is broken into 3 parts and lesson 2 is broken into 3 parts. Now, in this class, you will have lesson quizzes and you will have unit tests in addition to your vocabulary quizzes. So, your lesson quiz, okay? So let's talk about all those different types of quizzes really quickly. So number 1, your lesson quiz will cover the textbook and this portion of your textbook. Okay, so you'll take that when we're done with lesson 1.
Alphabet. Écoutez et répétez. Listen and repeat. A. B. C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, O, P, Q, R, S, T, U, V, W, X, Y, Z.
We will come back and practice those in just a moment. Here's some information about this prononciation, les signes autocratiques.
Prononciation. Écoutez et répétez. Listen and repeat. Les signes orthographiques. French uses accents and spelling marks that do not exist in English. These marks are part of the spelling and cannot be left out. In French, there are 4 accents that may appear on vowels.
L'accent aigu. Cécile. Stéphanie. L'accent grave. Michel. Hélène. L'accent circonflexe. Jérôme. Le tréma. Noël. Joël.
There is only one spelling mark used with a consonant. It occurs under the letter C.
La cédille. François.
Again, we're going to come back and talk about this in just a couple moments. Here is a French speaker giving you the numbers.
Les nombres de 0 à 10. Écoutez et répétez. Listen and repeat. 0 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10.
All right. I wanted to give you the opportunity to hear a native French speaker. We are on the alphabet. My recommendation for you right now is to find a piece of paper and just write out the letters. So write something like A, B, C, D, etc. Okay? Because as I say these slowly, you should hear some letters that sound like English words. And you need to be able to say the letters. So you might want to write down those sorts of things. So again, you're just listening this time. A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, O, P, Q, R, S, T, U, V, W, X, Y, Z. So for example, B sounds like the word bay, B-A-Y. The letter D sounds like day, D-A-Y. Okay, so those are the types of things that you might write on your paper. So this time I'd like you to repeat after me. S'il vous plaît, répétez A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, O, P, Q, R, S, T, U, V, W, X, Y, Z. And again, the nice thing about this being recorded is that if you want to go back and listen to it again, you certainly can go back and listen to it several times. So one more time, this time if you're ready, you can say them with me. So, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, O, P, Q, R, S, T, U, V, W, X, Y, Z. So that's the alphabet. Again, this is a great thing for you to teach a sibling because then it gives you a chance to practice saying it and have somebody else practice saying it with you. All right, the accent marks. I don't care too much whether or not you know the names of them, but they are part of spelling French words correctly. So you do have to include accent marks when you see accent marks on a word. So part of what you have to learn at some point is how to type up accent marks. So in your Google Classroom, on the classwork tab, under General Class Resources, there's a material that's called Accent Marks and International Keyboard. When you click on that, what is there are two different things. There's a PDF that explains how to install an international keyboard on your Chromebook, which you will need to do before you take your first quiz, vocab quiz or lesson quiz, because in Google Forms, that's the only way to get accent marks in. And there's also a video where I made a screencast, so I recorded my screen as I installed the international keyboard on my Chromebook. It's pretty easy and straightforward. At the bottom of the PDF about how to install it, there is information about how to make the accent marks. You might decide to put that information on a little index card so that when you're taking a vocabulary quiz, a lesson quiz, a unit test, you have that little cheat sheet, if you will, sitting right there by you that reminds you how to get those accent marks in Google Forms when you're using your international keyboard. Okay, so I don't care too much that you know what the names of these are, but do know that when you're spelling things, you do have to include your accent marks. So next were the numbers from 0 to 10. Again, you have a paper and a PDF that has all of the numbers from 0 to 1,000 on them. I would suggest you have that piece of paper, and just like you did with the alphabet, as I say these, if you hear an English word, you might write that English word next to that number so that you can remember how to say it. So again, this first time, just listen and write some things down. So we have 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. S'il vous plaît, répétez. So that means repeat, please. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. All right, let's do them again this time. Say them with me. Okay, so together, ensemble. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So again, these are your numbers from 0 to 10. You certainly, again, because this is recording, you certainly can go back and do it many, many times until you feel comfortable doing it and saying these. All right, so that brings us to the end of the lesson. So I want to talk about your homework assignment because your homework is, this is your first homework assignment in my class. So kind of two options depending upon whether you're going to handwrite out your assignments or type them in Google Docs. If you're going to handwrite out your assignments, do know that that's going to mean that you're going to have to take a picture of that assignment and upload that picture for the assignment in Google Classroom. The only way both hybrid and virtual learners are turning in assignments is using Google Classroom. So if you choose to handwrite it out, that's fine. But again, you will have to then, okay, do what is described right here. You will have to, okay, take and upload a readable photo for the assignment in Google Classroom. So, what I'd like to see if you're going to handwrite out your assignment, at the top of your assignment, you're going to put your name, first and last name, the date, and the class or period. And then you're going to write what the homework assignment is at the top. Okay, it's especially important for handwritten assignments because your picture is just going to be have a number probably for it. And so when I look at that in Google Classroom, I need to be able to tell really easily what assignment it is. And having that clearly at the top of your paper will make that easy. Now, it's fine if you choose to handwrite out assignments. I have no problem with that. However, please do note that you will have to type assignments when it comes to our type on the keyboard using the international keyboard when you have quizzes and tests to take. So honestly, my suggestion is that you type your homework assignments. Okay, if you're going to type up your homework assignment, then you're going to name the document with your last name and homework number, whatever the homework is. So this would be homework number 1. So for example, if I was doing this assignment, I would title my assignment Kremschreiter Homework number 1. If you leave the number out, it's fine, but homework 1. Okay, I'd still like you to have all that same information at the top of your document. So still at the top of your document, you're going to have your name, the date, the class period, and what the homework assignment is. Okay, but you must type accent marks. So again, in your Google Classroom, under the classwork tab at the top, underneath the general class resources is a tab it's called a material that is called Accent Marks and International Keyboard. And the sheet and the video explain how to get accent marks in Google Docs and how to install an international keyboard on a Chromebook. You must install the international keyboard for taking quizzes and tests in Google Forms. So again, my suggestion would be that you actually type your homework assignments using that international keyboard so that you get comfortable with it, because you don't want to have to do that for the first time on a test or a quiz. So again, two options: handwrite out assignments. You're going to write it on a piece of paper. You're going to take a picture. You're going to upload it for the assignment in Google Classroom. Okay? Or you can type it up using Google Docs, in which case you have to make sure you have your accent marks. And to figure out how to do that, you're going to look at the video that I made for you about how to install different accent marks and the international keyboard. Okay, pretty straightforward, pretty decent directions. If you have a problem with it, contact me. If you're a hybrid learner, when you're in class with me again, let's talk before or after school, before or after, like at the start of class or at the end of class, and I'll give you a hand with it and I'll help you with it. If you are a virtual learner, that's definitely something then that you're going to need to contact me about so that we can figure it out. All right, next I want to actually talk specifically about what you have to do for your homework. So your homework assignment, okay, is homework number 1. which is page 17, exercises 5 and 6. So again, this is referring to your textbook. So on page 17, you're going to look at exercise number 5. And I took a picture of it for you here so that you could kind of see it. So exercise 5 is la rentrée. And it says, it is the first day of class. The following students are introducing themselves. Act out the dialogues with your classmates. Well, we're not going to act them out. We're going to write them out. So most times when you do assignments for me, you're going to write on your paper like whatever they have in red in the textbook. Okay? And so indeed, that's what you're going to do for this one. Now notice they've given you, the prompt is a name, 2 names. And notice here's Helen's name and here's Philippe's name. The first name, okay, is always going to go here. The second name is always going to go in that second spot. So for number 1, what I'm going to write on my paper is number 1, je m'appelle, and then I'm going to put in Stephanie's name, Stephanie. So I'm either going to handwrite this out or I'm going to type it in Google Docs. Et toi? Moi, je m'appelle, and then I have to put the second name they gave me, which is Mark. Then I'm going to do number 2, right? And number 2 is going to read, je m'appelle Céline. Et toi? Moi, je m'appelle Frédéric. So again, idea here, the reason I've assigned this is je m'appelle is something you need to be able to spell, as is et toi. By the time you write je m'appelle 12 times over, or type it up 12 times over, hopefully you're going to remember how to spell it. So that's the first part of your assignment. The second part is exercise 6, numéro de téléphone. Imagine you are visiting a family in Quebec. Give them your American phone number in French. So they give you an example again. So they wrote out the number in digits here. Okay, so we have the number in digits here and then the same number in words. And that's what you're going to do for your homework. All right, so I use the school phone number here as an example, and I don't care. You're just going to do this for one phone number. It can be your real phone number or a made-up phone number. Okay, this is not me trying to get your phone number. This is just you practicing writing numbers and learning how to spell them. So the school number is 989-967-2100. So we have 9, 8, 9. Then I would write 9. Then I would write 9 again. 6, 7, 2, 1, 0, 0. And again, your choice. You can handwrite this out on a piece of paper, okay? And you don't have to take like 2 separate pictures of exercise 5 and 6. Just one picture, okay, that shows both exercises. And upload it as for the assignment. Or if you're typing this, you can type this up in French. Do know that before you turn your assignment in, I would like you to correct it. There are keys in Google Classroom for you. They are, you have to scroll down on the classwork tab towards the bottom. It's called Homework Answer Keys. And those are going to become available at 7 p.m. So at 7 p.m. tonight, you'll be able to look at the answer key for homework number 1 and check your work. Okay, so answer keys will always become available at 7 p.m. on the day the assignment is assigned. The purpose of that is so that you can check your work. If you've made mistakes, you should fix them on your paper, and I should see evidence of that in the photograph that you take and upload to Google Classroom. Thanks. Au revoir. À demain.